Okay, good evening, everybody. Thanks for coming out. Like Adrian said, what I want to do is just talk a little bit about the comprehensive plan and how it relates to Riverview Farm Park. In the comprehensive plan, and I'll read right from the plan itself, it says, the comprehensive plan presents the big picture and establishes a guide for decision makers based on our, this is important part here, based on our citizens' core values. It's what you think. The One City, One Future Comprehensive Plan, which is what the current plan is called, the draft at any rate, will serve as the general guide for development in Newport News for the next 20 years. So that's pretty important. Next 20 years, and that's why it kind of bothered us when we saw that the original draft had the city farm portion of Riverview Farm Park. It's one parcel. It's not two separate entities. Why the city farm part, though, was designated as understudy. And also in the original draft of the comprehensive plan, there was full admission that there were interest in doing residential development in the park. And those two things we didn't want to go through. And so we were fortunate, we were lucky. Well, I mean, we worked for it. The Planning Commission voted unanimously to go ahead and change the designation, and it is now in the draft designated, the whole park is designated, the land use is park, and it is zoned as park. And so does that protect the park, from any further encroachment by developers? No, it doesn't. But it does set an important precedence because that's the guide for development, and it says it's a park. So, but anybody can come in, just like if someone wants to open up a restaurant in a residential area, they can go through the process of going through the Planning Commission and ultimately to City Council and possibly get something changed. So that's why we need to really stay alert and not let this drop. And what I would like to see, what would be really good is if we can get City Council to go ahead and approve this current version of the comprehensive plan. What would be really good is if the Park Task Force, which was disbanded, I'm not sure how long ago it was, and it was from a former mayor, I believe. But they disbanded the Park Task Force that was actually implementing.
The year that Joe Frank left office, the Park Task Force was disbanded.
Okay. Because
I was there.
Okay, because the master plan for the park was only 1/3 completed, and then the task force was disbanded. From what I understand, funds are just about nil for putting the other amenities that were originally planned into the park. So what would be nice is if the task force was reestablished, and that them working with the Parks and Recreation Department and with citizen input, that we got the ball rolling again. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, there's a lot of competition for money. Everybody who goes in front of City Council wants something, and it usually costs money. So we can't, if we do get this comprehensive plan approved, and we can get, we're pushed to get the task force reestablished, it's going to take work to find funds. Now, on the bright side, I've got a letter from Delegate David Yancey. Can you hear it?
No,
oh, okay. I'm almost through. I've got a letter from Delegate David Yancey's office saying how he has discussed raising funds to help us out to put amenities in the park. Basically, the last line in the letter was basically they're waiting for a decision from City Council. But he is telling me that they'll support us. I also know on the preservation aspect, he did tell me the last time we were at one of the Warwick Denby Business Association meetings, He said that the First Lady of Virginia, Pam Northam, is very interested in the preservation areas there. So there may be more funding coming from there. And then I think it's going to take, I think Dr. Woodbury, you've mentioned before that for different causes that we need to go out and try and find some funds, whether it's trying to get corporate donations, individual citizens. It won't stop. And if we don't continue our effort, say the city, the comprehensive plan gets approved, if we stop there, then we really haven't gained anything, I don't think. Or we're taking a big chance on losing what we've gained.
Say that again. Say that last statement again.
If we don't keep up the momentum to develop that, to develop our park into a park we want, then we may lose everything that we work for. Because one thing I've had some notes here. They did take out the understudy. They took out the residential development out of the comprehensive plan. But still, there are some statements in there that can actually, how do I word this?
Contradict?
Well,
Such as?
Weasel words.
Okay, yeah, there we go. The adopted Riverview Farm Master Plan calls for development of a public park on the city farm property. However, given the time frame since the original plan was developed, adopted in 1991, it may be worth revisiting and updating the plan for this area. So, I mean, there's some things in here that could still, that aren't saying, hey, we're gonna make it a park. And that's the difference between the process. If you've been to city council meetings or listened, nobody present here, but some people on council have actually said they want a process. But the difference is their process includes residential development or anything, not just park. And what we'd like to see is the original process revisited, the one that Mayor Frank pretty much undid. So, at any rate, that's why it's important next week that if everybody, I'd love to jam pack. I hope y'all don't mind. The jam pack the council chambers with people.
Who's planning on being there next week? All right, we're taking names.
When I was reviewing some of the old city council videos earlier in the week, and in December, I think it was 10th of 2016, there were over 25 people that came to speak when this whole issue first came up. And so that was a pretty good number. There was only one person that spoke for developing the park, and he worked for the company that gave the unsolicited proposal. And he's lucky he got out of there in one piece. he got booed quite a bit. But at any rate, if we could double, triple that number, if it was standing room only, it would be great. And I've had several people on the planning commission tell me that numbers matter and diversity matters. At the planning commission, we had it's not just us old guys that are part of Citizens for Riverview Farm Park. We had young, old, all ethnicities, and that we had college kids, from CNU showed up and helped, and they said it made a big difference in their consideration of the comprehensive plan. So I think I probably talked enough here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dale.
Any questions? Thank you all.
Robert?
Go. Are we gonna let them give their talk?
Oh, that's fine. Who would like to go first?
You go ahead, you're new.
Okay.
You've heard me before.
So, you better talk more than 3 to 5 minutes, like we do at council. Okay. Plenty of time during that question there.
Okay. Hi, my name is Dave Jenkins. I'm the newest member of the Newport News City Council, and thank you for having me here today. I appreciate your giving me a few minutes to speak to you. I've got a lot to say. I'm not sure exactly how to say it, but bear with me. You know, about a year and a half ago, when my wife and I started getting involved in the Newport News community here, one of the things that we did was we went out to a Riverview Farm Park meeting that you had, and I heard Councilwoman Woodbury and I heard Councilman Burt Bateman speak, and it's been an issue that's been near and dear to my heart for quite some time. When I decided to run for city council, one of the reasons I decided to run was because I felt that your message was not being given the voice that it needed in our city government. And when I decided to run, I made sure that Riverview Farm Park, although you're not political and can't support anybody and don't endorse anybody, your issue was the first thing I talked about. And I've did that throughout my campaign, because it's something that's very important to me. It's important to me because it says a lot about where this city is going, what we value, where we see our future going for this city. And I believe that although it is not a requirement that government keep its obligations when it says, like the city of Newport News did in the 1960s, that Riverview Farm Park should be a park, it's not a requirement, but it is a moral requirement that we do the right thing. As Dale said, you know, everybody who comes before city council wants something and it all costs money. I'm learning that very quickly. I've only been to one city council meeting and I already know that. But you know, just like in your family budget, when important things come up and money's a little tight, you find a way to make it happen. And that's what our city needs to do when it comes to Riverview Farm Park. And of course, I support taking out the terminology that Riverview Farm Park is understudy. I've talked to people in our city, it's not understudy. I mean, it is in fact an inaccurate statement. The only study that's going on up there is the archaeological study, and that is not a study for land use. If you really wanted to apply the thoughts and considerations that are being given about Riverview Farm Park and consider that understudy, you could put half the city of Newport News understudy, okay? That terminology should simply be taken away. The next step, because this is not going to ensure that this is going to become a park, is that we need to work to fight to make sure that we have a consensus on council to be able to get the votes, to be able to designate that this will be a park and to move forward with planning accordingly. Now, some people, I'll tell you, three of the people sitting on council right now ran and were reelected, and they told the public there needs to be a process. Okay? I want to make it very easy for them to vote in our favor. Okay? And I'll tell you, I believe in a process myself. I believe that we need to, first of all, say that this is going to be a park, and then we need to have a planning process to make it happen. Okay? So I'm hoping that with your support at the next city council meeting, we will convince some of the people that taking this designation of understudy out of the comprehensive plan does not preclude them from having a process. And that we can all get together and we can make this a yes, which then turns into another yes, which then turns into another yes, and then a few years from now, we'll be walking in a park down at River.